All right. So just to give you a summary of how my pregnancy went, I had a very, I'm not going to say easy, but it was a very manageable pregnancy. I enjoyed every moment of it except for the couple weeks beforehand. And I think I'll start there. A couple weeks before I gave birth, I had the sciatic nerve pain that shoots up the thigh to the butt and like feels like it just paralyzes you. You cannot walk. You don't want nobody to touch you. All you want to do is cry. You don't even want to cry, but that's all you can literally do is cry. It came out of nowhere one day. And like, sometimes the pain was like bearable. You're like, oh, there it go. But baby, when it catch you and it hold on to you, I was sitting one time just trying to put on a pair of shoes and I just cried and cried and cried. Because I just was like, why does this hurt so bad? But yes, it grabs you from your thigh all the way up to your buttocks. And it just says, I'm here. But it went away in 2 weeks. But that was it would catch you while you driving. And imagine you driving and you got to pay attention to the road and try to figure out how not to skirt into somebody else because it's pain that took your leg on. Dear Lord, but we are women and we get through it. And I got through it, but I will remember that pain. So I remember that pain came like towards the end of February. And that's when everybody's like, oh yeah, now the thing is, it's supposed to come, I guess that's when people say like before you're about to go into labor. That's like one of the signs that, oh, it's coming, you know, because the baby's pressing down on the nerve, it's turning, things of that nature. But after hearing some other people, they said they had it sporadically throughout their pregnancy or months before they were due. So I don't know what holds true. But I thought, oh, okay, cool. That means Cassidy's going to come within these next 2 weeks. She was due March 11th. Sis did not want to come until March 19th, okay? I was at the doctor's office on March 11th like, so doc, what we doing? I don't feel nothing. Like, they told me water supposed to break everywhere. And I'm supposed to go, oh, take me to the hospital now, it's coming. I woke up on the 11th doing interviews for my boss's positions. We had to fill the position at the job. I'm doing interviews on Zoom. I'm like, hey, today's my due date. But don't worry, I don't feel nothing happening here. How you doing? And every time somebody new come on the screen, me and my chief, she's like, yeah, Lachelle's due today, but she's here. She's a trooper. She's helping us fill this position. And I was sitting there like, the things we do, but I literally felt like perfectly fine. I think I even went out to the food truck to get a vegan burger. Romeo's Vegan Burgers, I'm going to give them a plug. I mean, they don't pay me or nothing, but they just good. And they just opened up a actual brick and mortar. I don't know the address. I'll find it and I'll put it on the screen below. But Romeo's Vegan Burgers, literally you don't know that you're not eating meat. I don't know if that's like a good thing in the vegan world or not, but it is literally really, really good. And I've gotten her like double burger, and the cheese that they use is vegan too, but I can't even tell. And I love me some cheese. So I should go there because that's like yeah, it's a part of my diet because it's not beef. Thanks for the reminder. Anyways, so I was like perfectly fine. My mom, she was coming down, I think it was that Saturday, which was 2 days later. She was scheduled to fly in because she was going to come after I got out of the hospital to help me with being at home, you know, getting situated, giving rest and breaks and stuff like that. So she came in on that Saturday. Still nothing. I picked her up from the airport. We went on about our business. I had a doctor's appointment on that next week. I think it was like on that Wednesday or so. And I had that appointment. And the doctor there was like, you're still only like 1 to 2 centimeters dilated. I'm like, and they did a ultrasound again to make sure, you know, she was all fine. There was enough fluid around her. She was good. She was in there chilling, not trying to make a move. And they kept mentioning to me, oh, you see that little, you know, stuff hanging down? That's hair. And I'm like, looking at it, I'm looking like, oh, my child bald-headed. Only because everybody's like, do you have heartburn? You have heartburn? I'm like, I don't have anything. My belly like literally just grew. I don't have no symptoms. I wasn't sick. I didn't have heartburn, nothing. So I'm like, dang, I'm gonna have a bald-headed baby. We're gonna have to work through it. And so the lady, she did the scrape. I forget what the medical term of it's called, but on my doctor's appointment on that Wednesday, my mom came with me and they did the whoop, where they, I guess, kind of like get it, I don't know what it actually is, but they scrape around to get it started. And she was, I'm gonna just do that and see what happens. I left out of there fine. I mean, they said it would hurt, but it didn't hurt. Like, it was just normal, like when they would go up there and check anyway. But got home, was fine. It was about 2 in the morning the next morning, I believe. And I thought I was constipated or something. My stomach was like hurting, like I had to go to the bathroom. So I woke up like I had to go to the bathroom, really couldn't go. So I just sat back down, laid back down, then the pain came back. And at this point, I'm so far overdue. I think I went all the way up to 41 weeks. I was so overdue that I'm like, I ain't having no baby. They scheduled me for my, to be induced the following week on the 26th or something. So I was just waiting until then because I'm like, she ain't budging. So I'm like going through, and then I try to go back to sleep. And I wake back up like every hour, like, man, it's kind of like hurts. I can't go to the bathroom, nothing. So I think it gets to like 7 in the morning or so. Yeah, 6 or 7. And I go over into the guest room where my mom was staying. And I'm like, we think something's happening. Not sure what, but we think something. So she's excited, like, now, is it time? Is it time? And I'm like, well, not like time, because water didn't break. Nothing went gushing out on the floor like the movies. None of that. I was just like, felt like I had like a tummy ache or something. So I know I'm supposed to be sitting there like, ah, and all that type of stuff. But it wasn't happening. So it took about 2 hours. Oh, it got to happening. Them little stomach pains turned into God-wrenching. It felt like somebody took a belt around my waist and said, suck it in. And then didn't let me go. And I'm sitting there like, oh. So after I was timing it, because they told me, you know, you don't go to the hospital till it's like in between 2 to 3 minutes of your contractions are hitting and they're lasting for a certain amount of time. So I got the app. I'm ready. I'm having Kevin clock every time I'm like this. And they were like sporadic. They was all over the place. So I called my doctor. They was like, oh, come on in. Let's check you to see how far you dilated. So I go on in. I get checked. I'm thinking she about to come out like, woohoo, you're like 4 or 5 centimeters dilated. And she said, okay, you're still at 1. Excuse me? 1? Not with these things. Like, they were, by the time I got to the doctor, they was a trending topic, baby, okay? They was hitting like they ain't never hit before. And I'm like, they about to come. And I'm like, when they hit, you can't sit. Well, I couldn't sit down. I had to get up and start walking. So I was walking. When I get back to the car, I'm like, whatever the case may be. But she's like, yeah, just go home, continue to labor. And then when they get closer and closer together, give us a call back and we'll see about admitting you. And I'm sitting there, she was like, eat something now. And, so as I'm walking back to the car, I had to take a couple laps because I could not get in the car because it squoze me again. Squeeze. Is squoze a word? It took, whatever it did, it took my soul every single time it hit. So, I know I keep saying so a lot, but I feel like it goes along with the story. Anyways, that's a good one? Okay. Anyways, we go back home. I almost broke my now husband window out because it hit really bad, and I like punched the side of the door, and I'm like, oh snap. If I hit it hard enough, that window could shatter. And we don't need them problems right now because it's like I'm in the middle of laboring. So I try to keep my composure. And we make it back to the house. I don't even know if I fixed up my first. I think we went and picked something up because I think I had it was Chick-fil-A because I had a chicken sandwich. I couldn't even enjoy the meal. Like, how you send somebody home to say, continue to labor, but make sure you get something to eat now? Baby, I didn't want nothing. After I finished the fries, I took a bite of the chicken sandwich. I didn't want not another thing because all I know is my soul is being snatched in the middle of the day. And y'all sitting there talking about labor at home. So my birthing plan before I went in there, I said, you know what? I'm going to try to go natural. I always made jokes like, Kevin, I'm going to have this baby in the bathtub one day. You just going to have to deliver it. He like, not in this bathtub, And I'm like, if it just comes shooting out, what you going to do? He was like, well, then it's here. But we ain't planning to be having no baby in that bathtub back there. So I'm at home like, all right, try to go natural. Honey, before I even made it back to the hospital, that birthing plan changed all the way. I couldn't wait for the time they said, give the epidural, because the epidural is all I knew at the time. So I'm going to share, I'll get to that point. So finally, it gets where it's like still like 3 to 5 minutes, the contractions is hitting, but they are getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And I'm like, I don't know if I can do this any longer. I labored all the way until it was about 7 p.m. that day at home. And I finally went down to the hospital, and there's a whole, it's not like the movies where they just be like, oh, you're having a baby, sit in a wheelchair, come on up here, we'll admit you. No, they like first you go to triage, then you go up to the birthing floor, you go to triage. You wait to get into triage. So me and this other lady out here contracting, like if somebody don't, and they in there making decisions with other women if they gonna let them stay or leave. So they making people leave out the door one by one, like, oh no, come back. I'm like, I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I'm gonna keep it holy. But I can't take nobody telling me I gotta come back. So she finally called me in. They put me out back on the back bed, and I'm in there just clenching to God at this moment because they're hitting so like powerful. And I'm like, they got to go through all these questions about me. They got to go through a COVID test because the thing was at that moment, if I tested negative, then I didn't have to wear a mask. If I tested positive, I would have to wear a mask the whole way through. My partner always had to wear a mask the whole way through. So I took my COVID test. I didn't have COVID. And I'm sitting there like, please, somebody do something that has to do with a pregnancy around here. The nurse comes in. She's just like the triage nurses ain't like the birth nurses. Triage nurses don't care. I'm going to just put that out there. Not that they don't care about you, but they in there like, yeah, what's this, yeah. They ain't there to make you feel like, oh, you're having the baby. Nah, I ain't getting none of that. The lady was like, let me check you. Yep, she's too high up. She's still high up. I'm like, first of all, what does this even mean at this moment? I don't care if she high, low. I'm hurting. What we gonna do about me? And she was like, yeah, she's not ready. She's too high up. I'm gonna call your doctor. I'm sitting there in my head, you better not call my doctor and be that nonchalant about it. So the doctor that they called happened to be the one that was on, that seen me earlier this morning, because how it works, if you're not familiar, is I have my doctor, and but the doctor's office has 6 other OBGYNs who you can see as well. I met with all of them throughout the course of my pregnancy, at least once, so that when the time did come for me to have the baby, I at least had one touch point with them, so I wasn't like totally new to them. I like to make an impression to everybody, especially at a time like this. So being that she was the one that was there that morning, and she was still the one who was on call, she was like, oh yeah, I seen her this morning, please take her and admit her or whatever. So I'm like, oh, thank goodness. So then they give me this pain medicine. Till this day, I really don't know what it's called. I swear she said it was called Allstate. My husband was like, that is the insurance, baby. That is not what the medicine is called. I said, no, not the insurance. This is like Allstate Careers or something like that. I swear that's what she called it, though. When I mean this was the most, it couldn't compare to, it's like a Epidural that allows you to still walk. That's how I compare it to. I was high. I'm going to put the video up. Y'all going to see how I was high. Y'all couldn't tell me nothing. Anything they told me after that, I was just like, yes, Lord, do it. Catheter, yup, put it in. They said something about a balloon. Put the balloon in. They was trying everything to help Cassidy make her way on down, to break my water, to do something. I think out of all the things they tried, so when I finally got into my room, they gave me the catheter, they put the balloon thing up me. It's supposed to help, like when it expands, it breaks the water, something of the sort. At that moment, I'm just so high, I don't know nothing. Let's take you to the video real quick. Hey everybody, I'm back. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, Shell Knows. And remember to also follow me on Instagram at Shell Knows. And yeah, let's get into it today. So like I said, every video I'll keep you updated with how my journey is going, since I'm doing this like every week. This will be the end of my 3rd week of drinking a gallon a day. And let me tell you, we in here, okay? I'll share. I got like a whole bunch of gallons that I just found a place to refill. So that's clutch, because you only refill them for 39 cents instead of paying 59 cents per gallon. And, you know, you save plastic, recycle. I'm always down to help the earth. So it's going really good. I feel like I am lighter. I'm not as bloated. I did not step on the scale. So how I'm doing this is, in the beginning of every month, I'm going to weigh myself, and I took the inches from my waist, my chest, my butt, like around the hips, and then took my weight. And so I wrote it down in a journal. So every month in the beginning of the month, I will step back on the scale or remeasure and keep it up that way. So we will see. This month I am also, like, I started off with just drinking a gallon a day. Now I switched into just chicken, turkey, and fish for the month. And no fried foods, no breads, no added sugars, and no dairy. Like, very minimal cheese when needed, but not like a whole shebang like I normally would do, because cheese is life. But anyway, we're not here for all that talk. Just wanted to keep you updated and say, welcome to the podcast. Let's get into today's topic, though. We are going to talk about my birth story. The birth of Cassidy Lael Hope. Mm-hmm.
I want to show my booty. You saying your prayer? You saying the Pledge of Allegiance?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, mommy a little high right now. Say bye, mommy.
See you later. I'll see you when you want to go bring the balloon out with you. It's already there for you, sis.
It's not there yet.
It's going to be.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll see you later.
Okay, now we back. So, as you seen, nothing y'all told me is sticking. So, a balloon, something broke, something came out, something did something. They had me switching back and forth on the peanut, like that goes between your legs. So, oh, at that point, I did get the epidural. I did forget about that before they put gave me the peanut thing. They gave me the epidural. I don't know what the needle looked like. Didn't have an interest. I don't even think they allow you to see it because they don't want you to get freaked out. Kevin held in front of me. I held on to him because as he's giving me the epidural, I'm having a contraction. So I could still, at this point, the medicine from the painkillers was wearing off. So I could feel all that pressure. And I didn't care. I wasn't moving. I wasn't going to make a mistake. So Kevin, come here. And I got that epidural, and it was smooth sailing ever since then. I was like, okay, we here. They flipped me back and forth on the little peanut because I couldn't move my leg. I had like one dead leg, and the other leg I could kind of feel. And I had liquids. That was the best chicken broth I ever tasted in my life. It was the best water, the best cranberry juice. Like, I didn't even want food. That was enough for me right there. And I was just having a good old time, just laying there. Me and my teddy bear, we was going through it. Kevin was over there. He was such a supportive partner. He made sure I had everything I needed. Made sure, you know, we watched TV on the laptop. Just anything to make the time go past, because clearly Cassidy was not trying to make this any faster. Fast forward, it's like the next day, and they're pushing Pitoxin. I got to about 7 centimeters, and I stopped. It wasn't going any further. The more Pitoxin they pushed, it didn't make it any difference. So it happened that my doctor, who I go to on a regular, OBGYN, she clocked in on a Saturday. It was her shift. And she came in and she was like, I'm here, girl. I'm like, what is the odds of this happening? Normally that don't happen. You don't always get the doctor that you go to. And so I'm like, oh, this is wonderful. We gonna get the pushing. Shut my little soul down. She came in. She gave me the hard news. I'm not going to say it's the bad news. It's the hard news when you have a mindset of what you think is going to happen versus what actually had to happen. So she told me the Pitoxin wasn't, the Pitoxin, it showed that it was having Cassidy's heart rate slowed down. And so not that it was an emergency. They just wanted me to be aware the more Pitoxin they push, that was the effects of it. And so they're like, it's totally up to you. This is not an emergency situation. We could wait a little longer if you would like, but it does look like we have to do a C-section. Yes, I broke down. I felt like people that I've heard before, you feel like you failed. You feel like your whole pregnancy, I'm going to try to be active. I'm going to do yoga. I'm going to drink all my water. I'm going to make sure that I walk on a daily. Like, I thought following this path would get me to being able to birth my child. And I didn't. So I felt like I failed her in that moment. And I just broke down and cried. But the one thing my doctor did, she was like, she said, this does not mean that you did anything wrong. There's no scientific way to tell how a child is going to be here by doing certain things. You did not do anything wrong. And so I had my moment. You know, Kevin was there to console me. And it's nice to have somebody who is there that has your best interest in mind whether it's your husband, your doctor, your nurse. In my case, I was blessed to have all three because they helped me. That nurse that was there on call, she was so, like, everything she did with pure intentions. My doctor, she made sure I was straight. My husband, of course, had my back. So I was like, all right, well, let's do this. Let's just go. So I was like, we're not waiting no longer. Let's get Cassidy here. Let's get her safe. I don't want to have no more, like, have an issue because I'm like, oh, let's wait. So I'm like, all right, clear my tears. They're like, all right, let's prep you. They prepped me. They, since I already had the epidural, that was fine. They just pushed in some more so that it went from not my legs were just numb. It went all the way up to my waist. So I couldn't feel them do the surgery or anything, but you're awake. So they gave Kevin a suit. It should be popping up here. He had his little suit on. It was like, he was on the bust out that thing. And I went back there. When they wrote me back, they had him stand outside while they prepped the room first with me in it. So they pulled me from one table over to the other. And as they pulled me over, they're like, all right, great. I'm like, hey, y'all, my leg ain't on it. And that was the dead leg that I couldn't even help. They're like, no, I think you're on there. I'm like, nope, I'm going out. They're like, catch the leg. So they was like, oh, we got you. So I'm like, okay, I'm on there. I can feel it now. So they got me on the table. Everybody in the room introduced themselves. They're like, I'm this, I'll be doing this. I'm this, I'll be doing this. I'm your this, I'll be doing this. So I just felt like that moment, it was like a family. Like, it wasn't cold. It wasn't like dim, dark, and scary. It was like you were in there having, like, I ain't gonna say a good time, but it was a comfortable moment for me and everybody involved. Then the doctors, my doctor and an assistant doctor came in who was assisting her with the surgery. I had 2 Black doctors who did my surgery. My doctor is a Black woman, and then it was a Black man that came in to assist her. So that's one thing that I was totally happy about. And so they started, it was like, as soon as we get this up, you can bring in the child's father. So she was like, all right, bring in the child's father. So everybody's got their parts moving, and she's starting. And I look up, I said, excuse me, nobody brought in the child's father. And they're like, yeah, bring them in. They're like, oh, okay. So I'm telling everybody, I'm like, thank you for coming to Cassidy's birthday party. I'm still a little loopy at this point, but I'm trying to lighten the mood because they're cutting open down there. I don't know how that's going, but I started to get really cold. And not cold in a scary way. I just was like, because they got me stretched out on this table, just open wide. And I'm just like, and so the guy who was pushing my vitals or watching my vitals, he was like, you want a M cocktail? Oh, I forgot to mention. Y'all, some people ask me, how do I do what I do? And it's the baby monitor. She's woke now. So I'm going to tell my husband to go get her. But yeah, the baby monitor, keep it to my side. When she sleep, I hop on. It's how we do it. Oh, look, he went and got her. I didn't even have to say nothing. So anyway, back to me being spread out on the thing. I was literally, you know, they sit you out like this with your hands up. He's sitting right there, the sheets up over top of you. The guy sitting back here, he's like, you want a margarita, a little cocktail? So I'm looking at him like, duh. So he was, I'm gonna give you a little morphine drip. I said, bring it. So he gave me a little morphine and all my chills went away. I settled down, I got sleepy. Kevin got a little worried. He's like, Shell. I'm like, I'm here. I promise I'm here. So they're like, all right, in a couple seconds, we're going to pull her out. They pulled that Cassidy out, and she got the wailing and screaming. And I think they asked Kevin if he wanted to look over and see. He was like, no, y'all do what y'all do over there. But they brought the baby up shoulder. They went and got her cleaned off, weighed. They said the time. And the doctor, when she pulled her out, the first thing she said was like, look at all that hair. I said, oh, Lord, my baby ain't bald-headed, Jesus. Because I told you, I didn't have no heartburn. And they kept telling me these little things in the sonogram with little hairs. And I'm like, dang, she ain't got no hair. Oh, she came out with a full head of hair. And so they got everything. They gave her to him. And he put her down next to me. So he got to hold her first, which was so special. And then he took her out the room while they finished closing me up. And so they had their time. And at that point, I was just so far gone. I don't know what was going on. They sewed me back up, though. And they got me on my way. So that is like the majority of my birthing story. But after I went back into the healing part of it, it's kind of like a fog. Because I remember I was talking to people on the phone. I was excited. I was like, I have a baby. What do I do with the baby? Like, is there another step we got to do? But they just put me up into a room. And between then and 5 in the morning is a blur for the next day. So Cassidy was born at 5:23 on March 19th. 5:23 in the afternoon or evening, whatever you would say. And so between that moment to the next morning at 5 a.m., I'm not really sure what happened. But all I know is a nurse came in to assist me to get out of bed. And she's like, okay, it's going to be very hard because you had a C-section. And most people say it feels like your insides are dropping out. And it's like really painful to walk. Once again, I'm totally blessed and thankful. I felt none of that. I got right out of bed. I put my feet down, I stood up, and I went and used the bathroom. And the nurse is looking at me like, you had the C-section, right? And I was like, yeah. And I was like, and she was like, are you okay? And I'm like, I'm fine. And I went to the bathroom and I went and sat back down and she gave me, I think it was an ibuprofen and something else. And I was like, I'm okay. The only thing that I had was the itching. They said when you come off of the epidural, sometimes you get real itchy. So they gave me a Benadryl because I was on fire. My legs were fire. But yeah, I was like they were in total shock that I was just like, oh, time to go. I got up, took my time, go to the bathroom, came out, took care of Cassidy. And we only had to stay in the hospital for that, like, extent of that day. I went home the following morning. So I was home by that. I had her on Friday. I was home Sunday morning, I believe it was. Something like that, or Saturday. I don't know, them days is all confused. But, yeah, so I was really, really blessed with, even though it got weird, it was still a smooth birth for myself and for Cassidy. She came out so healthy, so strong, and that's the prayer we prayed till this day. Let Cassidy be strong and healthy, and we are just so blessed for that. But it was a great experience, especially for it to be my first time. So that's all I have for you today. And if you have any questions about, how I went through my pregnancy, things that I did, things I stayed away from, I have no problem answering those. I gave birth down in Charlotte, North Carolina. And that's about it. I hope you enjoyed the podcast. Shell knows. It's like my little journal, except for I get to talk about it out loud and share it with all of you. So, bye. Oh, and I forgot again. Don't forget to click like and subscribe. Share with a friend. Tell a friend. Be like, hey, Shell on there talking again, y'all. I'm an open book. Ask me anything. And don't forget to drink your gallon of water a day. Okay. Okay. Peace. Bye.